So, as many of you might know, as I've mentioned it a couple of times in recent videos, I recently got my wisdom teeth taken out. All 4 of them, and 3 of them were impacted. It sucked, sure, but it left me with plenty of time to play games. Since starting YouTube, playing games for just enjoyment has felt a little off, like I was doing something I wasn't supposed to be or forgetting to do something important. So, to abate that feeling, I decided to do a couple of Street Fighter 6 challenge runs while I recovered. I got footage for 2 runs during that time, and the second one should be coming soon, but the question for this run is, can you beat Street Fighter 6 as Q? Being that this is a fighting game, quite possibly the fighting game, at least according to the general consensus, and at the very least the Game Awards this year for this particular installment, I thought it'd be fun to do runs of not only fighting manga and anime characters, but fighting game characters as well. When thinking about who to play through as, 2 thoughts came to mind. Where better to start than Street Fighter 6 itself, and who better to start with than one of the most popular characters in Street Fighter, Third Strike's Q, who also happens to be in my top 3 Street Fighter characters, if not being my favorite. The fan-requested run for The Devil's Lance Kuroki the Beard Gensai is the next run coming soon, but for now, let's get straight to this run. So for character creation, I just loaded my pre-created character since I already did all the character customization like creation, outfit, and moves months ago when I originally had this idea, and I think the face looks great. Though seeing Q with ears is as uncanny as sequel-era Grand Moff Tarkin, seeing Q's teeth in the inside of his mouth occasionally is nightmare fuel, and the fit looks like I'm about to try to dunk on a Monstar in Space Jam, but we'll have to settle with this for now. The first couple of fights are pretty light work, so I'll put those up and take this opportunity to explain the rules. Well, I've got to look like him, which I've gotten done, and I've got to dress like him, which I'll be chipping away at while I play through. The main meat and potatoes of the cosplay are the special moves and super moves. The closest thing to Q's fighting style in World Tour is Marissa's Pancration in my opinion, big heavy hitting moves without grace, and Q's special moves in Third Strike are the dashing head attack, dashing leg attack, high speed barrage, and capture and deadly blow. To replicate these as closely as possible, I decided to use Marissa's Gladius and Phalanx moves for dashing head attack and dashing leg attack respectively. I couldn't find a leg punching special move, so I went with Phalanx, a lunging downward punch, but one of Marissa's normal attacks is a leg punch, so whatever. Sumo Dash Teppo Triple Slap for high speed barrage, since both are 3-hit hand strike combos. And Wild Hunt for capture and deadly blow, since while there were other moves that were closer in appearance, the only special move that was comprised of a command grab into an upward launching strike was Wild Hunt. For our super moves, Q's critical combo attack will be Javelin of Marissa, since I couldn't find a first level super move that was a punch combo. Deadly double combination will be Meteorite, since the idea, an upward strike into a downward spike, was the same and it was a second level super. And finally, Total Destruction, an almost self-destruct that Q does, will be JP's Interdiction, a move where he injects the opponent with Psycho Energy and blows them up. Also a move we will never get or use, seeing as you can only get JP as a master in the postgame. Boo! Well, in the Luke fight, Bosch and I did a pretty good job of tag teaming him, getting combos on him from either side and backing him into a corner to combo and juggle and throw, but eventually he was able to muscle his way through and beat me, with Bosch following not long after. Bosch takes off to go get involved with the Mad Gears and the Nashal Resistance and everything, and I head over to Chinatown and meet Chun-Li. In the Balua fight for a lead on Bosch, I didn't have any special moves, any super moves, and I'm not even using the style of the run, so you can imagine that this fight isn't the most technically advanced thing ever, just me spamming the same 3 combos in Luke's style that looks slightly reminiscent of Q's style, occasionally using Luke's special moves, and trying to stave off boredom as I hit X, A, or forward B a couple dozen times until Balua drops. I go ahead and buy myself some Oxfords, the shoes for the run, and the first piece of Q's outfit that we've gotten. And after nightfall, I push my way through a couple of Mad Gears both by myself at first, and then with Bosch, who ran into me after the fact. Mad Gear Alyssa wants the bag that Bosch stole, so Q, taking that literally of course, attempts to recreate it for her so that the Mad Gears will leave Bosch alone. Counterfeiter Leo walks me through recreating it, so I beat up generic Rufus Rider 1 for some leather materials, and then do the same again to Rufus Rider 2. Last thing I need is the clasp, so I've got to fight Marissa now, which is good since now I can start working on getting the style for the run, 2 special moves, and 2 super moves, which is like most of my kit. My combos are pretty good against Marissa, but her sheer power was ridiculous. Her attack strength was good enough to half my health bar with a good enough hit, and though I could land over 25 hits on her, it would only drop her by a quarter of her health. This isn't all that surprising in hindsight, being that she was 10 levels higher than me, but at the time, seeing it in motion was horrifying. It wasn't long before Marisa took the round, and while the second round went significantly better, seeing as for all of her strength, Marisa was apparently still brain damaged, her brute force still won out. All's well though, as I can still get the clasp and become her student, gaining my dashing head attack and dashing leg attack special moves. Leo makes the bag, but for some reason, after I finish off the Mad Gear gang and beat up like 12 people, Alyssa doesn't seem to like it. Something about wanting what was in the bag rather than the bag itself, but that's not what she said, so confusion detected, logic denied. Thrasher Damned wants to recruit me after finding out how strong I am, but I still gotta find Bosch for some reason since I guess I feel responsible for this barely acquaintance. Bosch has been spotted in Shankland, so we catch up with him and he's lurking around with the Mad Gear's bag of cash until Jury jumps us both and pushes my shit in ridiculously easily, even with Bosch's help, my style, and my special moves, likely due to her 14 level advantage on me. Pretty sure everything unfolds the exact same regardless of the winner, but I got the chip from Bosch and Bosch was kidnapped, becoming either the least lucky or luckiest man alive. Luke wants me to go get him some souvenirs, so this was the perfect opportunity to grab Blanca as a master for his Wild Hunt special move. DJ kicked my ass, and I'm now reminded how lame it is that this music-based kickboxer is just a kickboxer and not a capoeirista. I get the souvenirs to Luke, and then proceed to get my ass handed to me by him as thanks, though I thought I did pretty okay. I get to take the subway to Metro Stadium, grab some leather gloves and dye them white for the next piece of Q's drip, get the investment vest and tapered pants to replace this fucking Looney Tunes outfit, and get closer to the complete look, dye the pants black to get closer to the look according to the artwork, and then I join the newbie tournament. But I'm no newbie, so I take out the other contenders for the last spot on the tournament roster in the preliminaries. Now only missing two of the most iconic pieces of Q's fit, the trilby and the trench coat, I took out Wyatt as easily as always, actually lost a round to Lisa after she stuffed the comeback of the century, mounted and succeeded on the original comeback next round, lost the fight, rose up, and won the match. I was thinking that loss wouldn't bear well for my next, harder fight, but I actually did pretty okay. Ernest is usually way tougher, but this time around, I only had to use one healing item in the first round as I pretty much dominated the entire round, and though he actually did better in the second round, I beat him without even using a single item. A bit after signing up for the official tournament, I kicked Bao Bao Bro's ass in the first round, and no-diffed him in the second, and it was time for the tournament. Alan is tough, being that he has good mobility in the Tatsumaki Senpukyaku, and range with the Hadoken, and he just spams both, but with a little finesse, I'm able to take round 1 even with my back against the wall. Round 2 was much easier as I spent most of my time backing him against the wall or pushing him back over to the other side. Veronica is either pretty easy or very difficult, and though it's hard to tag her with Q's slow, sluggish movements, which cost me the first round, and I'm bad at defending against her sweep spam, which basically cost me the match, I beat Alan again and demolish her 2-0 in my comeback. Rawancha was Rawancha. He's even slower and bulkier than me, but much more powerful due to the level advantage. It took me a bit of time and a couple of healing items, but I took round 1, and after a similar performance in round 2, I win the tournament. Jamie trounces me afterwards for reasons I can't possibly bother to figure out, and then I go around meeting a bunch of famous people like Ken, Giga Chad Gus, whom I'm barely able to defeat, E Honda, Ryu, the entire cast of Glee, everyone. Now that I have E Honda as a master though, I can learn all of my special moves after grinding out their master levels. I also get the second to last piece of the Q puzzle, his famous trilby, and I dye it brown, leaving only the trench coat to finish the look, though it's only available during the penultimate chapter of the game, chapter 14, after you save the drone of that shopkeeper in Nashal, so this will be our look for the bulk of the run. Well, I beat Night Gus on my way up to the CERN tower to hack a computer for something, I don't know, and then I fight Kimberly because she's also here being a ninja and stuff. Kimberly's style is my worst nightmare, fast and agile, and she's 10 levels higher, but despite that, I actually win a round and almost win the fight. I really put in the work in that fight. I then beat up some random robots because plot or something, I guess. And then it's off to Rome to get the Javelin of Marisa, my critical combo attack super. I destroy the crazy robots on the deck of the carrier in Metro City and get to meet Guile, but no sooner than that was I off to rescue Li Fen, who had been captured by the Mad Gears. First I had to beat Bao Bao Bro again for a disguise, but he kicked my ass in the first round. In the second round, I used some items to help even the playing field of the 10 level advantage dude had, and though he beat me in the third round by a hair and won the match, twice, I rose up both times and ripped the W from the jaws of defeat. After clutching up in the hardest early game fight, I rescued Li Fen, we teamed up and fought off these goons, and then I fought Thrasher Damned. Dude was actually pretty tough. I was too slow to stop him from calling reinforcements, so on top of him having a shit ton of health and hitting pretty hard, I was also having to deal with his stooges and of course the fucking crane. Healing items aside, I typically pull the RPG veteran move of saving all of your items until the game is over because I might need them but never actually do. So this time I was trying to be more liberal and proactive with my items and miles, which I believe made this fight much more bearable, because after several revives, I defeated the level 33 Thrasher and finally made it to Nashal. After saving Yua from these thugs, I learned about the resistance in Nashal, learned about the Nashal qualifier tournament from Punch, told Thrasher I'd rep Mad Gear to get into the tournament, beat the shit out of Shandi and told Crow's leader Rudra that we'd be fighting to see who repped Metro City in the Nashal tournament, collected fighters to go against the Crows, and ran into some boxhead dude that absolutely rocked my shit even with my extensively using items. I decided that now was time to farm out my remaining special and super moves before moving forward, as Bosch here is pretty much the toughest mid-game fight, and I probably wouldn't be able to continue at this low a level and without my full kit for the run. This farming and the farming for my next run were probably the most therapeutic things I did during my recovery. Well, that and watch a metric fuck ton of Smite videos and an absolute shit ton of Rainbow Six Siege and Dead by Daylight videos when my aches and nausea flared up, but this was perfect for turning my brain off and just hitting buttons a lot of times to make the rest of the game easier. While grinding for levels, I got my Deadly Double Combination, Capture and Deadly Blow, and got to level 41. Unfortunately, Dashing Head Attack and Capture and Deadly Blow both use the same input, so I still only have 2 usable special moves, though I do now have a level 2 super. Bosch still did enough damage to maybe 4-shot me with most moves despite my advantages, but my dashing head and leg attacks were powerful enough to keep smashing Bosch into the wall over and over, and my critical combo attack and deadly double combination both did enough damage to keep up with Bosch, so with a bit of healing, I was able to take the first round. Round 2 was a fucking blowout. I stomped Bosch's shit in with the sheer raw power of Q. He runs away, but I fill out the rep battle roster anyway, and we sweep the gang fight until I'm up against Rudra for all the marbles. This fight certainly wasn't as easy as it was in the Oma run, but having my only special moves be dashing attacks helps against the primarily zoning Rudra. I do have to heal when I stupidly back up and make space instead of rushing, but I take round 1 and follow up with constant pressure in round 2, repeatedly slamming him with either critical combo attack or deadly double combination given the chance, and mainly dashing head attack and dashing leg attack for the win. In the last bit of the run, I'm able to beat Sampog easily with overwhelming brute force and super armor, a textbook Q play, though he does take 1 round. Kim is a little more difficult in practice, but doesn't even take a round against me. Hazel was as Rwancha light as ever and was a total joke. Joy was pretty tough because she had Kimberly's style, but a heal or 2 got me through the first round and the second round was a breeze. Gerald was a pretty even match for me thematically, hard-hitting, slow, and bulky, but I was better in every way and won the qualifier. Bosch wants to fight again at the top of the CERN building, so I beat the fighter copy bots and then take him on. He was tough, but by sticking to my normal playbook and using items responsibly, I was able to beat him without much of a significant risk. After that, the Baki collaboration happened, which is awesome. I got all the calling cards and profile thingies, so that's nice. Very cool, Street Fighter. Back to the run, I collected the items I needed from the Roomba, the fridge, and the factory to make the failsafe key. I also had to fight Blanca-chan, who was actually pretty damn tough as well. I've never been particularly good at fighting Blanca's style, but I beat him in an inventory and miles productive fight, and then complete the quest to unlock the final piece of the Q outfit, the trench coat. With 2/3 of our Q cosplay completed, the character and the outfit, all we need to do is get his last move, our high-speed barrage, and complete the run. Since I've been using dashing head attack for the majority of the run thus far, I decided to swap it out for capture and deadly blow for the time being. I also proceeded to go back to grinding levels and trying to grind out E-Honda master levels for our last move, and by the time I got the move, I was nearly level 50, but we're still rocking only 2 special moves at once because all 3 of Dashing Head Attack, Capture and Deadly Blow, and High Speed Barrage all have the same command input. So there's that. The fight with Rawancha was the same as always. Dodge or counter, big heavy hit and repeat. Man's like a Dark Souls boss. The only big change was the amount of damage and health, with him even having taken a round, but surprisingly the answer to this fight in this run was actually to apply pressure. Usually somebody with heavy damage and super armor isn't somebody you want to stay on the offense against, but with heavy hits and super armor of my own, as well as command grabs, I can actually just keep hitting him and attacking him over and over until he goes down. Sure, he still beats me within an inch of my life, and I would have to use items, but I basically made a comeback consisting of Rawancha's entire health bar in one. After, JP catches me trying to disarm the bomb, ironically alerting him to the bomb in the first place, and now there's nothing more to do than to win the Savalhall tournament. I'm a little underleveled, but I have plenty of items to keep me afloat in each fight, so I should be fine. Boris basically requires constant pressure to prevent him from being able to do anything, because even a single grab from him is basically a fatality. It takes a lot of healing items, especially since Boris just begins to resort to spamming command grabs, but I overcome the first and hardest of the non-story significant fighters for this tournament. Carmilla is definitely the easiest of these fights, as while she does a fair bit of damage and her zoning gets annoying, I didn't really need to use that many items and pretty much defeated her without much issue. Gora, who was probably the second hardest fight here, but hasn't really been much of a challenge since my first personal playthrough, hits like a truck, but I had zero issue just keeping him in the corner. That's not to say I didn't have to heal, but the fight was at the very least marginally easier than the Boris fight, and took a lot less items and a lot less focus. Just continued pressure and level changes and special moves and supers. Lima wasn't difficult at all, but he sure was incredibly annoying since he spent the whole fight jumping backwards and teleporting. Anytime he actually tried to fight, he'd almost immediately lose, or at the very least lose until he escaped again. Throughout these fights I was trying to use the high-speed barrage, but Lima was easily the most difficult to actually use it on because he kept just running away. Ultimately, after one heal, it didn't take much to win the fight. Next was the hardest fight in the entire game for me, the final Bosch fight. I ended up using a shit ton of items, and even still, I basically spent the whole fight getting my ass kicked until I had enough meter for a super, or I thought I could land a drive impact between uses of his hyper armor one-shot move that he spams. I did win a round against him, but it was after a ton of item spam and was followed by a bunch more until I ran out of items and lost the round. In the final round, I didn't have the healing items to put me through, so I actually lost this fight for the first time ever. I thought I'd be able to just use my shit ton of miles for a second chance, but lo and behold, if you lose this round of this fight, you just lose and the story continues with you in second place. Ultimately, I didn't care that much since we were at the bottom of the 9th, so I decided to move on to the final boss fight, the JP fight. Well, I guess I should have expected this since he's almost 10 levels higher, I have no healing items, and he's the Psycho Energy amped final boss, but he pushed my shit in. I retried the fight several times, but with zero progress with each attempt, I decided to give up and try again after gaining some levels. Just didn't know that giving up here resets the entire tournament. That definitely blew, but after grinding to over 60, blowing my way through the tournament on easy mode this time, and beating Bosch in a much more competitive match this time around than just spamming items, it was time to face off against JP once and for all. This time around I was doing much more damage, taking a fair bit less from each attack, and I was able to keep the pressure on him to win the first round, and bully him with dashing leg attack, high speed barrage, critical combo attack, and deadly double combination until I ended our encounter, that match, the final fight, and the run with one solid counter critical combo attack. That's it! I beat Street Fighter VI's Q! This run was weird for me for some reason, not having the full outfit for most of it was a bummer. Q's my favorite Street Fighter character, so nothing was ever gonna live up to the hype of the run. I wasn't able to use 3 of his 4 total special moves at the same time, and wasn't able to get his 3rd level super for the run. The grinding for levels seemed extra long and boring in this run for some reason, so I was always underleveled and lost a lot. And those last 2 losses against Bosch and JP really took the wind out of my sails. But I adore the character and had a great time cosplaying as this creepy freak overall. If you guys enjoyed this video, let's try to get this video to 30 likes within a week. You guys will already be getting the Kuroki Gensai run in like a couple days, next week at the latest, But if we hit the like goal, I'll get right to working on the next run, Can You Beat Street Fighter 6 as Cody Travers? If it's possible to recreate him and replicate his style, I honestly haven't done any testing yet. Until then, be on the lookout for the Kuroki run, Kaneda Suikichi vs Retsukayo in the Kengan Maximum tournament, Grappler Baki Styles Explained Japanese Jujutsu, and plenty more runs coming soon. Thank you all so much for watching. I've been Red Fox, the king of YouTube, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.